I was the success story they paraded around like a trophy. Sarah, the youngest daughter who made it big in tech at 28. While my siblings struggled through community college and dead-end jobs, I landed a senior developer position at Microsoft, earning more money than anyone in our small Ohio town had ever seen. Every family gathering, Mom would beam as she introduced me. "This is Sarah, my baby. She's got that big computer job in Seattle. Makes more in a month than most folks here see in a year." Dad would nod approvingly, chest puffed with borrowed pride. My older sister Emma would smile tightly, and my brother, Jake, would slap my back a little too hard, calling me the golden child like it was a joke. I thought it was love. All that attention, all that praise. I thought they were proud of me. The first time they asked for money, I didn't hesitate. Emma's car had broken down, and she needed $3,000 for repairs. She had 2 kids and worked at the local diner. How could I say no? I transferred the money that same day. Then Jake's girlfriend got pregnant, and they needed $5,000 for a down payment on a trailer. "Just until I get back on my feet," he promised. The money was in his account within hours. Mom's diabetes medication wasn't covered by insurance. Dad's truck needed a new transmission. Emma's kids needed school supplies, winter coats, dental work. Every month brought a new emergency, a new crisis only I could solve. I kept a running total in my head at first, then stopped counting when it hit 6 figures. They were family. This is what family did for each other, right? That Friday in November, I decided to surprise them. I'd been working remotely all week and finished my project early. Instead of calling ahead like usual, I drove the 4 hours from Seattle to Millfield, planning to take everyone out to dinner at that steakhouse Mom always talked about but said was too expensive. I pulled into their gravel driveway just as the sun was setting. The porch light cast long shadows across the yard, and I could see everyone's cars there. Emma's Honda, Jake's pickup, even Grandma's old Buick. Perfect timing for a family dinner. I climbed the front steps, keys in hand, when I heard my name through the kitchen window. They'd left it cracked open despite the November chill. "Sarah won't know the difference," Jake was saying. "She throws money around like it's nothing." I froze, key halfway to the lock. "I still feel bad about the truck thing." Dad's voice uncertain. "There was nothing wrong with my transmission. Don't get soft now," Emma snapped. "She's living in some fancy Seattle apartment while we're scraping by." A little redistribution of wealth never hurt anyone. My hand dropped to my side. The keys made no sound against my jacket. Mom's voice was quieter, guilty. "Maybe we should tell her about the business plan. She might want to invest legitimately." Jake laughed, sharp and cold. "Why? This way is easier. She never asks questions. Never wants proof. She just sends money like she's trying to buy us." "That's not fair," Mom protested weakly. "Isn't it?" Emma's voice was bitter. Little Sarah, desperate for approval, desperate to be needed. "She'll keep paying as long as we keep asking." I couldn't breathe. The November air felt like ice in my lungs. "The medical bills worked great," Jake continued. "Mom's emergency surgery bought us 3 months of breathing room." I hated lying about that, Mom whispered. "It wasn't a lie," Emma said. "You did need that root canal." "We just expanded the truth a little." $16,000 for a root canal? Dad chuckled. "Even Sarah's not that naive." "Apparently she is," Jake said. "And now we've got the biggest ask yet. The business loan." My legs felt weak. I leaned against the porch railing, praying it wouldn't creak. $50,000 is a lot," Mom said. "What if she starts asking questions?" "She won't," Emma said confidently. "She's too scared of disappointing us. Too scared we'll stop including her in family stuff. Besides," Jake added, "what's she gonna spend it on anyway? She's got no boyfriend, no kids, no life outside that computer screen. Her money might as well do some good." The casual cruelty of it hit me like a slap. No life, no boyfriend, no kids. As if my worth was measured only by what I could produce. For them, when do we ask? Dad's voice, "Sunday dinner," Emma decided. We'll do the whole family meeting thing. Make it seem official. Sarah loves feeling important. What do we tell her it's for again? Mom asked. Restaurant franchise, Jake said. Something she'll think is a smart investment. We'll promise her. Partnership papers, regular returns, the whole deal, and then we pay ourselves salaries until the money runs out. If she asks questions, we'll say the business failed. Market conditions, bad location, whatever. Silence fell over the kitchen. I stood there on their porch, keys forgotten in my frozen hand, watching my breath cloud in the November air. I can't keep doing this, Mom finally whispered. She's my daughter, she's my sister, Emma said sharply, and she owes us. You think she got where she is without help? Without all those tutoring sessions Dad paid for? Without Mom driving her to computer camp every summer? This is payback. That's not how family works, Mom protested. This is exactly how family works, Jake said. The successful one takes care of the rest. Sarah knows that. Why else would she keep giving? Because I loved you, I thought, the words echoing in my head like a funeral bell. Because I thought you loved me back, I backed away from the door, step by careful step. The third board squeaked under my foot, and I froze, but the conversation inside continued uninterrupted. They were too busy planning my financial destruction to notice. I made it to my car without being detected. Sat there in the darkness, engine off, hands shaking so badly I couldn't grip the steering wheel. My phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Hey, sis, we're all at Mom and Dad's if you want to drive over tomorrow. Haven't seen you in forever. I stared at the message, then typed back. Can't make it this weekend. Work emergency. 3 dots appeared immediately. Aw, that sucks. Well, we'll have to do Sunday dinner soon. We actually wanted to talk to you about something exciting. The business proposal. The $50,000 lie. Sure, I typed. Can't wait to hear about it. I didn't drive home that night. Instead, I got a hotel room in the next town over and sat on the scratchy bedspread, laptop open, doing the math. 7 years of emergencies. 7 years of being the family ATM. The numbers stared back at me from my banking app. $127,000. Gone. Not loans stolen. Taken under false pretenses by people who laughed about my naivety behind my back. I thought about every transfer I'd made, every time I'd felt that warm glow of being needed, of being the one who could solve problems. The responsible one. The successful one. The sucker.by dawn. I had a plan. Monday morning, I called in sick and drove to the bank. I transferred everything I could into accounts they'd never known about, changed every password, set up 2-factor authentication on everything. Then I called my boss and asked about that remote position in our London office I'd turned down last year. It's still available, she said, surprised. Are you sure? That's a big move, I'm sure, I said. How soon can I start? If you're serious, I can have paperwork ready by end of week. I'm serious. Tuesday, I hired a lawyer. Wednesday, I started documenting every loan I'd given, every lie they'd told, every false emergency they'd manufactured. The paper trail was longer than I'd expected. Thursday, Emma called. Sarah, perfect timing. Are you free for Sunday dinner? We have that exciting thing to talk about. Actually, I said, I have some news too. Why don't we make it a real family meeting? Oh, that sounds perfect. Mom's making your favorite pot roast. Great, I said, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. I'll bring dessert. Sunday came gray and cold. I parked in the same spot I'd occupied 3 nights earlier, when I still believed they loved me. This time, I walked straight to the door and knocked. Mom answered, face lighting up like Christmas morning. Sarah, come in, honey. You look tired. Are you working too hard? The concern in her voice would have melted me a week ago. Now it sounded calculated, performative. I'm fine, Mom. Just excited about our family meeting. Everyone was there, gathered around the dining room table like some twisted Norman Rockwell painting. Dad carving the roast, Emma serving vegetables, Jake opening A beer, Grandma knitting in the corner chair. So, Emma said as we settled in, you said you had news? I do, I said, cutting into my pot roast. But you go first. I'm curious about this exciting opportunity you mentioned. Jake and Emma exchanged glances. Dad cleared his throat. Well, he began, we've been looking into a business investment. A restaurant franchise. Good return potential, stable market. I listened to the pitch they'd crafted for me, nodding at appropriate moments, asking the right questions. They'd done their homework. It sounded legitimate enough to fool someone who trusted them. $50,000 for a 25% stake, Jake concluded. Partners' rights, profit sharing, the whole deal. You'd basically be investing in all of us. That's a lot of money, I said carefully. It is, Mom agreed quickly. But you've always been so good with investments, and we thought, I'll do it, I interrupted. The relief around the table was palpable. Emma actually smiled. Jake raised his beer bottle in a mock toast. But first, I continued, setting down my fork, I need to tell you my news. Of course, Mom beamed. What's your exciting announcement? I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app, turning the screen toward them. I'm broke, I said simply. The smiles faltered. What? Emma said. Broke. Financially ruined. Turns out, giving away $127,000 over 7 years really adds up. Dad's face went pale. Sarah, what are you talking about? Let's see, I said, scrolling through my prepared notes. Emma's car repair that turned into a new down payment. Jake's girlfriend's emergency that funded a vacation to Florida. Mom's emergency surgery that was actually a root canal and a weekend spa trip. The silence was deafening. Dad's truck transmission that was actually perfect. Emma's kids' school supplies that bought a new Xbox. Jake's job training program that doesn't exist. Sarah, Mom started. Should I go on? Because I have spreadsheets. I have bank records. I have 7 years of documentation proving every single lie you told me. Emma's face was crimson. You were spying on us. I was bringing you dessert, I said calmly. Last Friday night. Imagine my surprise when I heard you planning to steal $50,000 from the naive sister who just throws money around. Jake slammed his beer bottle on the table. Now wait just a damn minute, no, I said, standing up. You wait. You want to know the funny part? I would have given you the money. If you'd just been honest, told me you were struggling, asked for help, I would have said yes. Because that's what family does. We are family, Mom said desperately. We can work this out. No, I said. Family doesn't laugh about someone being too scared of losing their love. Family doesn't call someone naive for being generous. Family doesn't plan elaborate schemes to steal money. I gathered my purse and coat. The restaurant franchise sounds lovely, I said, but I won't be investing. In fact, I won't be sending any more money. Ever. Sarah, please, Dad said. Let's talk about this. I tried talking, I said. For 7 years. You just saw dollar signs. Emma stood up, face flushed with anger. You're seriously going to abandon your family over money? After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me? I asked. Besides take $127,000 and laugh about how easy I was to manipulate. We supported you. We believed in you. Jake shouted. You supported my bank account. There's a difference. I walked toward the door, then turned back. Oh, and I'm moving to London. Work transfer. I leave next month. The shock on their faces might have been satisfying if I hadn't felt so empty inside. London, Mom whispered. Turns out when you don't have people constantly draining your accounts, you can afford to take risks. Travel. Live. You can't just leave, Emma said. Watch me. I drove home in silence. No tears, no rage. Just a hollow kind of clarity. For the first time in years, my phone wasn't buzzing with family emergencies or requests for money. It was quiet. The next month passed in a blur of paperwork and packing. They tried calling, texting, showing up at my apartment. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. The day before my flight, I got one final text from Mom. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. You deserved better from us. I stared at it for a long time, then typed back. Yes, I did. At the airport, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Excitement about my future, not guilt, about who I was disappointing, not anxiety about what crisis I'd need to solve next. Just pure, uncomplicated anticipation. London was grey and rainy and perfect. My flat was small but mine. My coworkers were brilliant and challenging and saw me as more than a paycheck with legs. I made friends who invited me places because they enjoyed my company, not because they needed something from me. 6 months later, I got an email from a lawyer back home. Jake was being investigated for fraud in connection with a fake charity he'd been running. He'd tried to use my name as a reference without permission. The lawyer wanted to know if I'd press charges. I thought about it for exactly 30 seconds, then replied, yes. Emma sent a Facebook message a few weeks after that. Jake might go to jail because of you. I hope you're happy. I was, actually. Not because Jake was in trouble, but because I'd finally learned to protect myself. I'd spent years believing that love meant giving until it hurt, that family meant sacrificing yourself on the altar of other people's needs. I'd thought walking away was cruel, selfish, wrong, but sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to yourself is stay. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to be unloved. I still make pot roast sometimes in my tiny London kitchen, not because I miss them, but because I'm learning to nourish myself instead of constantly feeding other people's greed. The girl who drove to Ohio with her heart on her sleeve and her bank account wide open is gone. In her place stands someone who knows the difference between being loved and being used, someone who understands that real family doesn't ask you to prove your worth with your wallet, someone who learned that the most expensive thing you can buy is other people's approval, and it's never worth the price. I used to think I was the golden child because I made them proud. Now I know I was just the golden goose, and they were waiting for me to lay myself to death. But golden geese can fly, it turns out, and sometimes the best thing you can do is spread your wings and find a sky that doesn't see you as something to plunder. If you've ever been the family ATM, the one everyone calls when they need something but never when they just want to talk, this is your permission to close the account. You don't owe anyone access to your resources just because you share DNA. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, and sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are actually just afraid of losing their best source of funding. Real love doesn't come with a withdrawal slip. Real family doesn't require you to prove your membership with payments, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop paying for people who never valued you as anything more than a transaction.